Okay, so 2 days ago, on the most recent episode of Redbar, I had the absolute honor to be featured on the show. Seriously, one of the best experiences of my entire life, to be honest. Being able to be on the show and having Mike cover the video that I made discussing the show. Around 5 hours in to what was a gargantuan, monumental 11-hour experience. Seriously, even amongst episodes of Redbar, like I couldn't pick one that I would want to be featured on more, because this was like Mike at his absolute best. Really long show where not only did all of the people that you'd want Mike to kind of speak on, they all got their moment. You know, Denny with his new special, Rogan, Hinchcliffe, and like basically, yeah, anyone that you'd want Mike to speak on almost got covered, as well as new guys getting introduced, and it just hit. And then for me personally, it was like a style heavy show. There was a lot of like Mike getting very granular in terms of like fashion and style and stuff, and for me as well, that was like great to see as well. I love when Mike does that. So basically, around 5 hours in, I got brought up on the show, and I was listening live. I could not believe it at the start, because Mike had commented on the video I made. I knew that he was aware of the video, and I suppose had watched it. But genuinely going into it, I thought there was about maybe a 1 to 5% chance that I would actually get brought up, simply because like I am a nobody, right? Like I'm not a comedian. I'm not someone who is even really like trying to cultivate a social media following. I'm just a guy who decided to speak about the show, and I just had no expectation really that I would get brought up. But I am so thankful that Mike chose to do this, and all I can say is that for other like longtime fans of the show, that I hope that you get this opportunity as well, because it was just great. Like seriously made my week, made my month, whatever. Like this was just fantastic for me. Anyway, so I'm going to be I guess reacting to my coverage on Redbar, and maybe providing a bit more info, because there, I guess, are some kind of questions that get brought up, and I'm going to kind of respond to that. So I've gone ahead a little bit here. I'm just going to go back a bit to when it first, like the segment first starts, and I'm just going to let Mike speak for a bit and then kind of cut in.
Tim Heidecker starts this band Dakar. He starts this rock band Dakar, and he finds these guys, these like Eastern European guys, in one of the.
So what we're talking about here is this guy called Axiom, right? And I wasn't aware before this episode of who Axiom was. I know that Mike used the word Axiom in his comment on my video, but I actually was not aware of what he was like meaning by that. I hadn't seen on cinema, at the cinema or whatever, like Tim Heidecker's. It seems to me, because now having watched this episode, I've gone back and watched the first episode and trying to get a bit of background on who this Axiom guy is and where he fits into this show. It seems to me that the thing that I could say it's most similar to is like Red Letter Media, what they do for like the Star Wars movies. It's like a parody of like a review show almost, that Tim Heidecker is doing, but I could be way off. And I know that it's very meta. I know that it's like taking your first stab at listening to something like this. You really need to give it some time. But I listened to the first episode, and it seems like this parody review show, and this guy Axiom is a real rock musician, now turned videographer, the guy himself, an Italian guy who is like has, I assume, Italian or like Mediterranean guy, who Tim Heidecker has kind of recruited, and it's like half a joke. Like Axiom himself, the guy, is like half in on it, but he genuinely is a rocker, where of course Tim Heidecker is not a rock musician in terms of the character he's playing on the show is, right? So I guess Tim is like fully in on the joke, and Axiom is like half in on the joke. And basically where I come into this is I look like this guy, like we have the same hair in that. So we kind of look similar, and it's going to be presented here that I could potentially be Redbar's Axiom, so to speak. Anyway.
This guy, one of the guys he finds to be in his band, Dakar, is this guy named Axiom. You guys know him? Well, I'm pleased to announce, and I don't know where we found this. It's on YouTube. Somebody sent it to me. Redbar now has their very own Axiom. Just like on cinema. I hope Tim sees this. I saw Tim this week. He was doing the bomb sound effect. He was I hope he's listening. I hope he's loving what he's hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, our very own Axiom. I'm just going to show you a minute. Here's this guy. I don't know how to describe him.
So there I am on the show. Like, yeah, I was shaking when I saw this. Yeah, I was working, but I'm lucky enough to work for myself. So like working, had it on in the background, but like kind of passively watching, mainly just listening while it was live. And then I checked over at my phone and it's like, no way. Anyway.
Other than Axiom, Google AXIOM on cinema. This is him. He's sitting in what looks like a designer's tailor's closet, you know, like a clothing designer's closet. He's got racks and racks of clothes that it looks like he's making. He's got this haircut that we haven't seen in a while, this hot
He looks
topic.
incredible.
Thank you,
This
Jules.
is the
Scene.
this is that scene haircut from, like, what's that band? Please leave all overcoats, canes, and top hats at the doorway. Panic at the Disco from back then.
When I was in 7th, this would have been the hottest guy
Really?
Wow.
because that was like
Thank you
Wow.
again, Jules.
Fall
See,
Out Boy era.
When this era came out, we could not understand it. And we can't understand it now. We couldn't understand it from day 1 to week 2 to month 5. We never understood this, me and my friends. This haircut blew our minds, and it still does to this.
Okay, so in regards to my haircut, so initially when I was growing my hair out, when I was younger, I was like a big fan of the show The Mighty Boosh, and Noel Fielding in general. I like his show Luxury Comedy as well. Not a big fan of Noel's stand-up, but I'm not a big fan of stand-up in general. But like, yeah, I really like The Mighty Boosh and like pretty much all of the TV shows and appearances, like, what is it? Nevermind the Buzzcocks as well. Like all of like Noel Fielding's kind of aesthetic and his appearances on stuff. And I wanted to have my hair like his character Vince Noir in The Mighty Boosh. But as I grew my hair out, I kind of decided against that. Like I still might, but I don't think I want to put the blonde like into my hair. I kind of just like it how it is, a natural color. But maybe I will actually get the full like Vince Noir haircut. But that's basically why I started doing it. Also, I'm into like a lot of it's called like V-key or visual kei. It's like Japanese kind of punk rock culture, and that's like a big inspiration as well. I like to go on Pinterest and look around at you know, different hairstyles and fashion that they have over in Japan. Yeah, so that's kind of the reason why I choose to have my hair this way. But I totally respect and understand that for most people looking at it, they just see this as like scene or emo hair, because it's like essentially the same thing. And I don't expect people to like differentiate that. I would say that most people who are into like the scene kind of emo style will generally like dye it like jet black, or they will dye it white. And that's kind of the only difference. Like I've kept it the natural color. But at the same time, if someone was to say that this is like scene hair, I would not dispute that as well. Anyway, so that's the hair situation.
This day, it's kind of like the TikToker haircut now, which I do believe is a wrong haircut.
I agree.
You know, it's a haircut that never worked. People see the mullet has come back. You've seen all this stuff. It's all digestible.
Don't like the mullet
There
either.
was a guy
Can't
in my
stand
school
it.
with this exact haircut
Being in Australia, the mullet is a big thing. I simply can't stand it.
whose name was Noah, and his handle was No Authority.
Ooh, that's hot. That's sexy.
He was hot.
I look at a guy like this, I go, this has got to be a gay guy.
Wow.
But maybe not. Look what he's wearing, too. This is something I'd love if he designed me a cloak like this. You're not going to believe this kid. I love seeing like this. People all over the world listening to Redbar, all different types. Watch this. You're not going to believe it.
Hi. Today I wanted to talk about my experience discovering Redbar Radio, my favorite guy, Mike David.
This is
And
that's
I
doxing.
often have the thought of just how different it is, my kind of perception of the show now and how I see it compared to my like first time seeing it, my kind of, what is the word? First impression of it, right? And so that's why I thought Mike commented the word axiom. Like I thought that he thought I was looking for the word axiom there. Today I wanted to discuss that because I think it is really interesting, and the way that Mike comes off is like a point of contention. Obviously, a lot of people talk about how they immediately like dislike him and then come to love the show, or they think this and that about, you know, like how they see him, and it the kind of phrase that you have to give it a year, right? And that notoriously Redbar Radio is something that for a lot of people. So yeah, I am wearing the Aura ring. Like Mike, I often forget to check it. I kind of just wear it as jewelry at this point because I will go like a week, or I've been wearing it for like 6 months, maybe a bit longer now. And I will go like a week or two and realize, oh, not only have I not checked the Aura ring, but also it probably ran out of battery like a week ago. So it's not really doing its job. I need to get better with the Aura ring. But it's like I just need to make it part of my routine. Like I need to make it part of my bedtime routine or wake up routine or whatever to like check the Aura ring and also put it on charge. And I need to, I wish I could get like another charger for the ring because I have it only in one spot and I'm not always there. Anyway, yeah, Aura ring, that's something that I guess Mike and I have in common. Takes a long time to get into, but
Long time.
for me, I would say it was a bit different, and I wanted to give kind of the background on that, and kind of my own context with the show.
Okay, so we're being reported. I mean, really, this, I've never thought in my life I'd have stuff like this, videos about me like this.
So cute.
How many views does this have? 544 views. Give this guy a view. His name is Samson Hall. I'd like him for, if he doesn't mind, I hope this isn't offensive to him, I'd like Samson for my collection of
I accept.
guys. Are you in, Samson?
Before
I'd like
even knowing-
to be a part of your life. Let's just hear what he says about me real
Before
quick.
even knowing what that entails, it's
yes,
just
I
interesting
accept.
to me, and I figured I would rather put it on a video than just continue to think about it. So
Wow. Thank
I
you.
consider myself still, even though I have known about the show for like 5 years now, I consider myself to be still like a new listener who discovered the show through YouTube clips like the ones that you're seeing here.
We're sitting at 49.1K subscribers on YouTube. How about you guys get that to 50K today? Let's get Redbar up to 50K
We'll
on
never
YouTube.
post again.
Never posting again. I might even take away Instagram. I might take away Facebook, the group, might take away the website.
I want people to only know about Redbar from a physical newsletter that we have to hand
Wouldn't
out.
that be nice?
I would
we
love
need to
it
be more underground.
if they did that. I would pay the international shipping to get that newsletter. Contextually, it's like when I was in high school, Joe Rogan, like in my mind, right, I'm like a Joe Rogan listener. Like I've gone back now and listened to the whole archives from the Melton Watch onwards, and then also
Melton
a bit
Watch.
beforehand,
You hear this, Melton?
like Mike's boarding school story and
Uh-oh.
some of the more like
Shouldn't
the
have mentioned
takeover show. But mainly, what I will do is I will go back to. I've done this like twice now. I will go back to Melton Watch and I will listen through it. And
Really?
enjoy that, and then listen through all the way
Melton
to current
Watch.
day, the current episode, and I've now done that twice. Just finished doing that for the second time.
Holy.
And so I'm probably going to go back and enjoy Melton Watch for a third time.
Wow.
Because I am a true
I
wolf.
gotta rewatch Mel.
So one thing I'll say is, like, even when uploading the video, I didn't like expect Mike to see it. Certainly not as quickly as he had. And I guess the one thing I regret about this video is I wish I had been a bit more concise, because when I was making it, I was really just giving my thoughts, and I thought if maybe a few other like fans of the show would see it, that's great. But if I'd known that it would be covered in any way, I wish that I had been a bit more concise with my speaking and my points, and also just, I guess, a bit more focused, because I think it would have made for better showing on the show. But it's all good. It is what it is.
Out and watch, because people seem to still get a kick out of it. What even happened during? All I could remember is when he danced in a circle on stage.
Yes, the spin.
What were some of the big Melton Watch moments
Bite
that
of the
people
wing,
remember?
drag of the smoke.
Bite of the
goes
wing,
big.
drag of the
50
smoke.
wings.
50. Remember when
lot of
he would
wing
order
content,
50
lot of
wings
food
from
content
Wingstop
in
and just
Melton
eat
Watch.
them in front of the
See,
TV?
everyone's always like, oh.
There's a starch sadness with him, and the whole thing with him and his what is it? Is it something Ansel? Alex Ansel? The planet or whatever. Oh man. And that's what I like do recommend, that like if you like if you were in like the same position as I was when I'd only watched YouTube clips, so you're already like interested and you're prepared to pay for it, and you've like signed up for Scars Club, right? I don't recommend going back to the start of like season 20 or season 17 or whatever. Like, I recommend that if you already know that you like the show and you're willing to pay for it, why not start at like Milton Watch and actually get into it from there? Like, it holds up. Like, I know it's a long time ago and there is maybe not as many, like, it's not as, like it's not about the current news cycle, right? It's pre-COVID or whatever, right? But it's like, there's still a lot of gems there, and it is really funny. Yes, it is a bit different, but I think that is a really good place to start with Milton Watch. I've heard other people say that as well, so I do recommend it. And it is like a really fun saga, really base level, just like making fun of Milton for being fat and pathetic, basically. But there's a lot there.
Oh, Melton, Mike Redbar destroyed your ass for 10 years. But literally everything we did on Mountain Watch was like, he eats 50 wings. I was like, oh.
I really don't even remember what Mountain Watch was. I rarely remember anything. I mean, I have a very low brain.
Lots of just looking at pictures.
Yeah, just zooming in on him. This guy is my hero. So people kind of like this guy. Please be welcoming. Don't be mean to him. I mean,
the chat overall was quite nice to me. Like, obviously, like, looking at me, like, there's a lot to make fun of physically, right? Especially for the the chat is primed to get at a guy, right? But overall, like, they were really nice to me. So thank you to the chat.
This is what it's refreshing to me to see somebody this wholesome now. Even though I don't like that term in today's culture, but with everybody bickering and being mean and this is gay and this sucks, it's nice to see a guy who's so, removed from that.
Gorgeous
that
teeth,
he could
by
just,
the way.
with a haircut
you,
like
Jules.
this, and just speak and just say something that he likes. I've never seen anything like it.
So, like, that is, again, I have to say, like, that again is an idea that I got from Mike, like how he used to talk about Kanye West, and like the idea that it's okay to pick a guy or pick a person that you are simply a fan of, like the way that I assume the H3 fans talk about Ethan, or actually no, they hate him, but like how normal people or whatever talk about these guys that Mike goes after, like I agree that it is okay to pick one person to simply just be a fan in the childlike sense, right? Like, I'm simply just a fan of Redbar and Mike. I trust him. I know he's not going to promote some shit to me. He's got our best interests as listeners. And so I don't find it cringe or embarrassing to talk openly about how positively I feel about him and the show. Like, it's that simple. I'm happy to say that this is the person that I have picked to support, right? So that's kind of the angle that I come at it from.
This day and age. Let's hear what else he says.
Shipper, I am a true head.
Oh,
right.
He's a head. I can't believe it.
So how I discover the show is through Joe Rogan. And I consider
Axiom.
myself to be like a Joe Rogan listener, and the ones before I would wish be I was like more
maybe
concise in this whole
listeners.
section here. And then before that,
maybe Tim Heidecker could hire him for Axiom's son or something to come in on a show and be Axiom's son.
I would do that.
We need him as our Axiom. I think Josh Denny said something on a podcast where he was like, Mike has no friends, and I'll give him $10,000 if he can get one person to play in a band with him.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, I don't know if he plays music. You're thinking of Axiom from On Cinema.
I mean, obviously, look at him. He's got to.
Do you play any instruments? If so, would you like to start a Euro rack band? Not rock, Euro rack. It's
So I used to play the guitar, and I do sing, but like, I'll make it work. Like, don't worry, I'll figure it. I'll pick the guitar back up. I'll learn it quickly. I'm sure that I'll make it work. And even if I suck, then at least I can have the look and the aesthetic of the band that you're going for, and you can figure it out from there. In the hypothetical sense.
has more to do with like these racks of equipment the Euro Rack. I think there's a product called Euro Rack out there.
Or I can do that as well. Like I can just be the one that is like standing behind, like a rack of audio equipment and look like I'm kind of doing something, or like stand behind a turntable and kind of just add to the look of this group that we're putting together here.
Okay, here.
I'm not sure necessarily how to categorize that. Maybe Milton watch list, like maybe listen.
And he's actually, if you got him a new haircut, he's actually like a really hot model,
he's
right?
insanely hot.
Like if he had a regular haircut,
I think he's pulling off the hair great, and I think that the hair goes with his look.
And thank you, Mike.
Like Lucian Wintrich might want to have sex with this kid.
Wow.
There's another Redbar guys like this.
Will Lucian
he can be your
part of Trump's new cabinet?
No stylist!
Look at where he is.
I don't know. These clothes are a little Euro. Like, what's back here? This looks like... I mean, that's crazy.
Mike probably knows it. That's just that's Loewe Studio Ghibli collaboration. That's just a t-shirt, but like I understand that. I mean, it looks a bit odd from
This clothes.
You could pull that off.
Of course
you could, Mike.
I'm saying that I couldn't. Fire alarm. He's sitting in a 5-alarm fire.
Milton, or I'm possibly skipping something really big in my head, like but just general listeners of the show, if they're pre-Compound, and then
Compound, he knows
that,
it all.
in my mind, it's like college radio, or like I don't even know those guys. Like I think of like really old listeners who get brought up on the show or whatever, right? But anyway, so I consider myself to be like a Joe Rogan YouTube clip era listener. When I'm in high school, Joe Rogan is something that I listen to, and my friends are also into. Joe Rogan is thought of really positively, right? And he is, his show is seen as like part of this frontier of like new media, that we're going to listen to things like Joe Rogan to get our information, as opposed to the news. Of course, the news or mainstream media is like considered poorly, and Rogan is considered overall really positively. A lot of my friends also get into like Brazilian jiu-jitsu and fighting, and I never got into that.
Thank you.
Just not something I've ever been interested in, but still that was a point that made Rogan even more relevant, because obviously he commentates the UFC fights as well. So Rogan is something that is like almost a bonding experience for me when I'm younger, right? And it's something that I have like a positive kind of opinion of. And actually, like to this day, in order to fall asleep, I have to listen to podcasts, and that all started with like 2016, maybe even earlier, listening to Rogan when I would listen to it in order to fall asleep. And ever since then, every night I have to listen to something, obviously not Rogan anymore, but I have to listen to something in order to fall asleep. Usually it's Redbar these days.
Sleep with Mike.
And that started with Rogan. Now, something changed, and I'm out of high school now, and it's like maybe a couple of years on from that, and something has changed that I picked up on, and I believe it maybe has to do with the political climate in the United States, but I don't think that fully explains it. It's just that this made it quite obvious. It's that Rogan, I've picked up on, will have on a certain guest that has a certain, let's say, political ideology, or it doesn't have to be politics. It could be just a certain idea about how things are. And he will agree and be very agreeable towards them, especially if he is in the right mood.
We saw that with Terry.
You can have someone who is like fundamentally opposed to that previous guest. You could have them on even next week, or not long after that, and he is going to then somehow be in full almost agreement with this new kind of guest. And to me, that really destroyed any kind of respect that I had for Rogan.
Thank you.
It made me feel that he was not qualified to be the person having these conversations with all of these different guests, because it says to me that he doesn't like stand for anything. And I've never been like that politically engaged in that regard, or cared about what
Axiom,
side it was, but I could pick up that these like heavy ideas, Rogan is presenting himself to have one lot of beliefs with one guest.
Giving this one more minute.
And then I feel in my mind at this stage, it's not so much a corruption, but it's more so that he is just, his only allegiance is to keeping the show running smoothly. And
he's in the chat. He's in the chat.
Axiom's in the chat right now.
So like I had to rush to get a Twitch account set up. Unfortunately there I spent like 2 minutes trying to make a 20-second point, but luckily I like saved us from that by hopping in the chat, and Jewel saved us then by like noticing, I guess, right?
He says, please forgive my speech issues. They're amazing. He says, this
That
is
was the one thing that the
surreal.
chat did
Well,
not
it better be.
approve of.
I just wanted to hear
with his point in that clip. Yeah,
But I
way
will
of
say,
speaking.
like, sometimes, like, how he treated Redban, like, I felt like, yeah, he was...
Okay, I can't do the shoulder. Please go see the video on your
We
own.
love him.
It's for
He
the
said
best.
some amazing things, some very eye-opening things, and really taught me a lot about myself and about Redbar. Thank you.
This is one of the most eye-catching compliment videos we've ever
It's
seen.
very good. It's 18
Thank
minutes.
you,
It gets
Jules.
really good. He starts really getting there. You want to hear something that was bad? Kim Congdon was...
Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. So basically that was the extent of it, like a good 10-15 minutes of coverage on the show. As I said before, I'm sorry if I didn't get to the point more in that video, but I just did not expect it to be covered. But regardless of that, this was, yeah, just great for me to be able to be on the show. And that's basically all I have to say about that. And in regards to opportunities, I know that this is like meta, this is not a real thing or whatever, but yeah, I am happy to join the collection of guys that Mike has, whatever that entails. Yeah. All right.